Sports Talk. Let's go. Welcome back, everybody. It's me, your boy Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk, and I'm back. It's the 2025-2026 NFL season, and I'm back with another episode of NFL Matchups Live. Man, it feels so good to be back, man. It's been a minute, man. I ain't gonna lie. It's been like at least 6-7 months, man, since I've last actually done anything. So it feels good to be back online live with you guys. A little change to the schedule here. I won't be doing excuse me, NFL Sunday wake up anymore. Just my schedule just won't allow it anymore. But definitely going to be hopping on during the week and getting you guys ready for the matchups for the upcoming week in the National Football League. And of course, talk about some other things around the league, share my thoughts with you guys as well. So thank you guys for joining and making sure you guys are sharing, you're liking, and you're subscribing. Make sure to the YouTube channel. We are airing live on YouTube, on Clutch Sports Talk. We're airing live on the Grid Network on YouTube, as well as Clutch.Sports Talk on Instagram as well. And I believe Facebook too. So make sure you drop a comment, man. I really appreciate it. And on tonight's show, man, we got a pretty good one for you, man. I got to talk about what's happening or what took place in Dallas with Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones. I'm going to weigh in. I'll be honest with you right now. I probably am in the minority with that decision that was made, but I'll share my thoughts on that. Also, I want to talk about Shedeur Sanders. He is the third string quarterback on the Cleveland Browns. I want to share my thoughts on that too, because that's been a very, very public situation. And I want to weigh in on that too. And what I really want to do is just present facts and talk about some realities and things of that nature, because I think there's a lot of emotion involved in the whole Shedeur Sanders and even Micah Parsons scenario. And of course, it wouldn't be NFL matchups if I did not break down each and every game, starting with the Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles Thursday night. So we'll be breaking down all of the games for week one around the National Football League. So it feels really good to be back, man. I gotta knock the rust off just a little bit, but it feels good to be back. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This is NFL Matchups with me, Ryan Flowers. Let's go.
We're going to be here all day, baby. I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All right, welcome back in for those who are watching live right now. I appreciate you guys, man. Hey, this show is presented to you by the Grid Network. Make sure you check out the Grid Network on YouTube, as well as our social media on Instagram, as well as TikTok. You won't want to miss out. We got a ton of guys on there, especially one of my main guys, Bryson Carver and Barry Grant, who's one of the co-founders of the Grid Network. He's got the All Even podcast. Make sure you check him out, and a couple other guys too that are doing some good things as well too. So, but I am back. Like I said before the top of the show, it's been a while, man. But you listen. Even though I've been gone a while, I've been in the bushes, I've been in the weeds, I've been looking, seeing what's happening around the landscape of things around the National Football League, and I am ready to speak on a couple things, and one of it being the drama in Dallas, right? So if you didn't know, Micah Parsons was just recently traded to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-rounders and a defensive tackle in Kenny Clark. And in return, the Packers got arguably, I guess, what people would say, a generational talent, a generational player in Micah Parsons. So before I go into who won the trade, who didn't win the trade, listen, Micah Parsons wanted to be paid, right? Jerry, if you don't know Jerry, he is a negotiator. He loves to negotiate. He lives for this type of stuff. He does it year in, year out with a lot of the superstar players that they have on the Dallas Cowboys. He did it with Dak a couple times, CD, numerous of players in the past. This is just what he does. So in the end, they ended up trading him. Micah, you can tell towards the end of this whole relationship, was very disgruntled. It became very personal. And I wasn't surprised when the trade happened. Now, I believe the deal is worth 4 years, $188 million or something like that. $120 million of that is guaranteed. So Micah Parsons is the highest paid non-quarterback player in the National Football League for now, because someone else is going to get paid more than that. Dallas Cowboys Nation is split. Some people feel it was a stupid trade. Some people like myself feel like, well, realistically, were the Cowboys going to win with him? Probably not. They weren't winning with him while he was there. But people will say, well, how do you just trade away this generational talent? easily. If you don't like the guy, you feel like he's not going to fit into what you're trying to do in the future, then you trade him. And let's be real. From a financial standpoint, the Dallas Cowboys could not afford to pay Micah Parsons. Yes, they could theoretically, but then if they would have paid him, they would have had the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League, or one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the National Football League, and then the highest player, non-quarterback in the National Football League. So therefore, you can't do anything else, right? You're going to just be hamstrung with these contracts. So, me personally, I don't know Micah Parsons personally, and neither do you. But he did distribute things from my perspective that I didn't like, or I didn't necessarily agree with, right? He cries a lot publicly. I get it. You're a great talent, man. Getting double teamed, but there's a bunch of guys in the NFL that get double teamed a lot. And maybe he doesn't get the calls, and I get that. That's frustrating as well. But the biggest knock on him, at least from my perspective, is he's undersized. Yes, can he rush the quarterback? Absolutely. Probably, if not the greatest pass rusher we have in the league right now, outside of like the Myles Garretts, the Max Crosbys, the TJ Watts, he's right up there with them. Obviously, he's deficient in the run game, does not play the run fits very well, and that's a problem for Dallas. Now, doesn't automatically mean that the Dallas Cowboys are going to be the number one rushing defensive team in the National Football League. Probably not, but they can't be any worse than what they were really with him. So, Cowboy Nation, like I said before, they're split. They're split on both ends. And I guess for me, I just wouldn't pay a guy like that, honestly, at the end of the day. And I say that full-heartedly, knowing that he could be one of the greatest defensive ends / linebacker edge rushers that we've had in the National Football League. But I don't compare him to like Reggie White or Lawrence Taylor. Those guys were iconic. And I've been a lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan. I've followed them since the early 90s, since I can remember. And I don't remember any really signature Micah Parsons game. And that's just me. I'm keeping it real. And I might get a lot of hate for that. But at the end of the day, name a game that Micah Parsons just took over that you can say. And I don't, honestly, if you take the emotions and the feelings out of it, most of you can't even do that as well. So who won the trade? I think they both won the trade. I think the Cowboys got what they needed. They got Kenny Clark, who's coming off of an injury-plagued season. He's been a Pro Bowler in the middle. And honestly, in recent history, the Dallas Cowboys have been very weak in the middle, especially in the run defensive game. So, you get rid of Micah Parsons. You get, 2 first-round draft picks. Now, the only thing I would say about what Jerry did, which is kind of moronic to me, was that you waited this long, right? I thought maybe you probably trade him before the draft. Maybe you get those draft picks that can help you this season, but now the Cowboys have to wait a full year and see what the Packers do. Because if the Packers have a winning season, those 2 first-round picks are going to be very high picks, or low picks, I would say. But Green Bay, on the flip side, they did something that they typically do not do. They do not go out and spend money like that, right? But I think they look at themselves as a team that's vying to get into the Super Bowl, to win the Super Bowl. So they're looking to win now. Now they have 2 bookend edge rushers, and Gary and now Micah Parsons. Now, the only drawback is that now it's being reported that Micah Parsons has a slight back injury that may limit him. He may not be ready to go this Sunday, right? So that's going to be a problem. And that's the thing with him. Now, I know he hasn't missed a lot of games. I believe he's only missed like 4 or 5 games in his early career. He's only 25, 26, but he has had nagging injuries that have been with him through the end of seasons, which it creates a dip in his performance. He starts off hot. That's what he's known for. But you start getting into those later months of the season, an elbow here, a leg here, something like that. And mind you, the NFL, there's guys that are going to be hurt throughout the whole year. But you don't want your best pass rusher to be nicked up so early in the season. And let's just be real. He hasn't participated really in any type of real contact, any type of real strength and conditioning. I get he probably works out with the trainer, but it's different than actually suiting up, playing in some of those preseason games, those dual scrimmages with teams coming in. Ain't done none of that. So they're going to be asking him to go full tilt Sunday. I highly doubt that's going to happen. I think 1 or 2 things are going to happen, and this is very obvious. Number 1, he comes up. He plays for the Packers, has a tremendous season. Packers make a deep run. We'll see what happens. Or he gets hurt early and you never see the full potential. So, and the other thing for the Cowboys, I think too, a lot of people forget, Micah Parsons, in my opinion, that name only resonates so loudly is because he's a Dallas Cowboy. I mean, they're the most valued franchise in sports. any player that plays for the Dallas Cowboys, you already know is going to be a symbol, whether it's a negative symbol or a positive symbol. Him going to Green Bay, I feel like he's just going to fall to the wayside. And this is my opinion, right? I don't think he'll be the big draw as he once was before. Maybe he might just a little bit because of, I think the Cowboys play the Packers in like week 4 on Sunday Night Football if he's ready, if he's available to go. But in the end, I think he might lose a little bit of lackluster, and therefore he may not be the same player anymore. And that's just my opinion. And like I said, I followed the Cowboys for such a long time. I'm 41 years old. I think I've been following them since 1992. After that divisional round loss to the Lions, and then next year they won the Super Bowl. So I've been with the Cowboys pretty much my whole entire life. So if there's anything I know about football, it's the Dallas Cowboys. It's the Dallas Cowboys. So I get it. And here's the thing, and I'll wrap up with this. Dallas Cowboys fans, why are you so upset with Jerry Jones? This is what he does. This is what he does. He does things that you scratch your head. So don't get all out of whack. And, like the Cowboys weren't winning the Super Bowl anyway. So let's just be real. All right. So you trade him, you get some assets for him, and you see what happens next year in the draft. Maybe Kenny Clark bounces back, helps the run defense just slightly. And to be fair, too, I think the Dallas Cowboys relied on Micah Parsons too much to rush the quarterback. I don't think they put him in the best situations a lot of the times to help stop the run. And I don't think he's willing to stop the run. I mean, if you throw on the tape, sometimes he's running away. And good teams will run at him. I get it. He's got like 52 sacks in the last couple of years. Like, that's great. But what do those numbers mean in terms of winning? This team still has not reached the NFC Conference Championship game. And that's not all on him. Obviously, the team has to play well. But at the end of the day, I think when Jerry Jones looked at it, he was like, well, we're not winning with this guy. Why would I pay him a boatload of money and then just be caught up in contracts? And I can't even do anything else. So it is what it is. I mean, like I said, I'm in the minority. I think it was a decent, fair trade. Some will argue that it was a moronic trade. It is what it is, man. It's just a preference at this point. So, but we'll keep it moving. All right, we got some comments here and here. We got my boy CJ Smooth. Still ain't changed that YouTube picture, man. You got to do something with that, brother. All right. Yeah, my boy Carving Up, Bryson Carvey says, Coach Clutch is back, baby. Yes, I am back, man. Coming out here sizzling like a juicy steak. I'm sizzling, man. So I'm glad to be back. He also says the biggest issue with Jerry is that he seemed intent on dragging this out per usual before moving him at the last possible minute. Yeah, I agree with that. I think if they should have done this a long time ago, right? And when you waited so long, there's not a lot of teams that are going to be willing to take that hit so close to the season, especially because, at this point, everyone is kind of set on their roster, which I felt like they probably should have did this move before the draft, right? You probably could have got even more. You could have got a king's ransom for Micah Parsons. Only 2 first-rounders? Shit. I would have asked for probably 3 or 4. Why not? If we think he's the most electrifying generational talent, why not, man? So we'll see how it goes. And Bryson says, and given the Cowboys' last few drafts, I have no reason to believe those picks will hit. Yeah, I mean, recently the Cowboys have hit or miss on a lot of picks, especially on the offensive line. There's still some guys out there that we don't even really know about, and we'll have to wait and see. But if you, and sidetrack real quick, if you've watched the documentary on the Dallas Cowboys on Netflix, and this isn't a plug, but you got to understand the way this team was constructed, and in my opinion, it's any team should be constructed as they had their 3 guys back in the day. You had Emmett, Aikman, Irvin, and then they surrounded those guys with the best offensive line in the 90s. I think that's what Jerry is trying to recreate. I think that's why he pulled off this trade, thinking it was going to be like a Herschel Walker type of situation. It's not going to come off as such. It's just not, because Jerry's senile. He is. And I don't really always agree with him, especially not recently, but I do agree that they need to move off him. I just didn't think that they got enough for him at the end of the day. So, all right, we'll leave it at that. All right, moving on. We got the situation in Cleveland. Joe Flacco has been named the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And this team has taken a lot of grief from the social media, from public platforms in regards to the treatment of Shedeur Sanders. Now, Shedeur was drafted, the fifth or sixth round. Don't quote me, but I believe it's the 5th or 6th round after Dylan Gabriel. Now they were battling it out in camp. Dylan Gabriel, decent camp. Shedeur Sanders had that really one good game. The first game that he started or played against the Carolina Panthers, and everybody was like, oh my God, I knew he could play. Oh my God. Look how great he looked. And I was like, listen, man, just settle down. And I'm not saying Dylan Gabriel is just so overwhelmingly better than Shedeur Sanders. I will say this, though. Shedeur has the size. He's got the physical build. I don't know if he has the mental capabilities yet, right? He may very well be a very good starter in the National Football League, right? But I think today, the way that the Browns looked at it, they felt like Dylan Gabriel was probably ready to go more so now than Shedeur Sanders. Now, I think Shedeur will get in here eventually because Joe Flacco is old, man. He's old. He's like 40. He's my age, if not older. How long is he going to play? And that first couple of weeks for their schedule is a murderer's row, right? You're playing divisional talent, the divisional teams. You're playing playoff Brown teams from last year, teams that get after the quarterback. Dylan Gabriel will go and he'll probably stink it up for a little bit too because he's a rookie. But I don't think there was this big conspiracy about Shedeur Sanders at the end of the day, like at least from the Browns' perspective. I think, you can go back. Oh, well, they didn't throw him in for the 2-minute war. Blah blah blah. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, it is what it is. He made the team, folks. Right? It's up to him now to continue to grind, to keep working, and prove the naysayers wrong. Right? He still does a lot of the things that he got away with in college, holding on to the ball, drifting backwards. As a quarterback, you got to understand a lot of sacks don't necessarily reflect the offensive line. Sometimes the quarterbacks have a lot to do with that as well, right? And people who don't really watch football or understand that, they just see, oh, well, he's just getting sacked. It's all the offensive line. No, timing. This is not college. You're not playing North Dakota State, right? You're not playing Wichita Falls or whoever, right? You're playing professionals. You got maybe 2.5, 3 seconds to let go of that ball. And he's sitting there backpedaling, patting the ball. And I'm not saying Gabriel was any better, maybe slightly a little bit more efficient as distributing the football. But let's not make this bigger than what it is at the end of the day. Me personally, I'm not a big race guy like that. And I'll get slammed for that because I am a minority. I do have African-American descent. But I don't look at it like that. I firmly believe in a world where if you're better, you should get the job. And that's how I view things. And that's my own opinion. If you don't view it like that way, that's fine. That's totally you. I respect that. It is what it is. But was he much better than Dylan Gabriel? Probably not. And if you think about it, if the Browns invested a 3rd-round pick in Dylan Gabriel, what kind of message would that send to the rest of the team and anyone in the football to start Shedeur over him when they didn't really beat each other out that badly? So I think there's politics to that, if I will say that. But I think Shedeur will get his opportunity for sure because the Browns they're the Browns. I mean, let's just be real. They are the Browns. So again, the way social media is and the way things are today, everything is driven by race. And again, I don't think this was all the way. There may have been some contributing factors in initially how he was drafted. I think that there was a message being sent to him and his family. And so be it. It happens. It happens. If you're going to talk the talk, you better be ready to walk the walk. All right. Because there's consequences to your actions. And I'm not saying he did anything bad. From all accounts, he seems like a very good young man, doesn't get into trouble, talks a little bit, maybe a little bit immature. And I get that. He's still, he grew up very privileged. He didn't grow up in the streets. He's not a thug, right? So he's still got a lot to learn. I mean, think about it. You go back to his high school days. Everything was controlled from him. When he was at the high school in Dallas, I think Trinity something, right? Or Christian something, whatever it was. His dad was the head coach. His dad plucked and picked and put everything up and set him up for success, right? I believe they won like 2 state championships. Then his dad gets the job at Jackson State. He brings his son over from FAU, who he had committed already to FAU before Dion had taken the job at Jackson State, right? He makes his son the starting quarterback, right? Sets him up again. All right, then he leaves Jackson State, goes to Colorado, does the same thing again. So if anything, this might be good for Shedeur at the end of the day because he's going to have to learn to deal with some adversity. He's going to have to be able to take feedback and criticism from someone other than his dad, who isn't his coach. Okay? I have no problem with Dion speaking up for his son as he should, right? But there's a time and place for everything. And now you're in the National Football League with grown men who are getting paid to do this job. They got to take care of their families. He has the skill set. He's going to have to clean some things up. There's no conspiracy here, man. I mean, really, if you want a conspiracy, then I think you're just kind of fabricating it in your mind. And I could be totally wrong. But it is what it is. So we got some comments here. Bryson, he says, here's what I feel strongly about the Browns. All three quarterbacks will play this year. Flacco's old, Gabriel's undersized, and Shedeur will be the last guy. Yeah, that's what I think too. I mean, you gotta start Joe Flacco at the end of the day, right? I mean, you have to. Okay. But I feel like Gabriel, he's gonna stink it up a little bit, and then they're gonna be thrust to put Shedeur Sanders in anyway, right? So it's not how the story starts, it's how it ends. And I think we forget that. Like, he should have been the starting quarterback. Relax, man. Relax. It's a marathon. It's definitely a marathon, man. And people got to realize that we live in this very like microwave world where it's like, we got to have it now. We're so quick to deem someone this and that. And it's like, people ain't even done enough yet. And that's why I struggle right now, even with this social media stuff. It's like, oh, this guy's the next greatest thing. Like, what has he done? What has he done? What has he done? And I'm talking about Shedeur either. Like, okay, great. You play with Travis Hunter, right? And Dylan Gabriel too. I mean, I'm not going to let him off the hook either. I mean, listen, I will say he's a little bit more mature than him, and that's what I'm looking for in a quarterback. But at the end of the day, Shedeur has the physical talent, so at some point he will get his chance for sure. Bryson says they have 2 first-rounders in a stat QB class. They will play both young guys to see if they have potential, and if not, they'll take a guy in 2026. Absolutely. Why not? My boy Barry Grant says Shedeur week 9. Yeah, that's a possibility, right? And if he starts and if he flounders, I don't hear nothing about race anymore. I'm tired of that. Like I'm sick of the race baiting online. So let's just let these guys come out and play at the end of the day. Football players are football players. It's about the X's and O's and the bros and the Joes. And if Shedeur can play, we will find out, according to Barry, in week 9, maybe even sooner. So, but I don't want to hear about the conspiracy anymore. It is what it is. It's time for him. He made the team. It's time for everyone to drown out that noise and let's go and play ball. That's what it's about. And that's all I care about as a football coach, as a coach in general. It's about playing ball. So let's just do it. And week 1 is here. So we'll see what happens. All right, man. I just wanted to talk on those 2 quick things there real fast. But before we move on, let's get on to the let me get my graphic up here for the matchups for week 1. Let's start off with Dallas. Dallas Cowboys taking on Philadelphia Eagles to kick off the 2025-26 season in Philadelphia. Dak Prescott has had a lot of success against the Eagles. He has above 500 record against them. He's always at least split the season series with them. However, though, keys to victory for both teams. We'll start with the Eagles here. They got to establish Saquon Barkley, especially because we know Dallas does not have a very strong rush defense. So you got to establish him and even get Jalen Hurts in there. Throw him in the run game so you can get that game control and set up that tempo. You can get the RPOs going with Devontae Smith. You hit A.J. Brown on some play action. So that's going to be really good for there. And also take some deep shots. You got the guys to do it. Like I just mentioned, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are very capable of going over the top of defenses, which they can. They can do that, especially attacking a very vulnerable Dallas secondary. Trayvon Diggs coming off an injury. He may not be ready to go. And if he does, he may not even be 100%. So why not take a shot against him? Deron Bland, love the story. 6th-round pick out of Fresno State. Got the bag this week. But let's just be real. Like he can get torched. Okay. He can definitely get torched. And then on the flip side, the defense there, they got to just get pressure, which I think they can do that. And they have to limit CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens because I feel like this is going to be the unit on the Dallas team that's going to have to be the driving factor. Jerry Jones is literally saying, here you go, Dak. I'm paying you. I went and got you another wide receiver. I got to add with CeeDee Lamb. What are you going to do with it? So Eagles are going to have to do that. As far as the Cowboys are concerned, Dak is going to have to limit his turnovers. I believe 15 or 16 interceptions last year. Not going to get it done. So he's going to have to limit that. CeeDee Lamb is going to have to at least get 10 or more targets. Right? He's going to be very active. If you drafted CeeDee Lamb in fantasy, you're probably feeling really good because if the Cowboys are going to have a chance in hell of winning this game, CeeDee Lamb is going to have to be a big portion of it in order to do so. And of course, the offensive line is going to have to slow down Jalen Carter and the interior defense of the Eagles. So, which is easier said than done. Ask Kansas City how that went. It didn't. Right. So in the end, if I have to give you a prediction, I'm probably going to go with the Eagles to win this game. It's a divisional game. And I believe, the Super Bowl winning team is like 20-5 or some crazy stat like that. So there's nothing from the defense from the Dallas side of things that will show me or tell me that they can actually pull it off on the road. I just don't think they got it in them. So I like the Eagles in that one. All right. Friday night, we got another one. We got a good one out of Brazil. In Sao Paulo, Brazil, we got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the LA Chargers. They're playing in Brazil again. Last year was the Packers, I believe, Eagles. As far as keys to victory for the Chiefs, you got to get tempo quickly on this LA Rams defense. It's going to be a humid environment, so you got to keep the chains moving. Slow down that pass rush. Kelsey, he just came off the engagement. Didn't have a great season last year. I don't know if it's the whole Taylor Swift. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's going to have to be pivotal because no Rashee Rice. He's suspended, right? If I'm not mistaken, but they're going to have to use Kelsey to exploit those young linebackers for the LA Rams and keep that tempo going, keeping them exhausted, right? And then just Mahomes magics, right? He's going to have to do something from there. And from a defensive perspective, they're going to have to keep Herbert from converting third downs. If you keep him on the field longer, it keeps the Chiefs defense on the field longer, then they'll start to feel the effects of the weather. And that's not going to be good for the Chiefs. On the flip side, the Chargers are going to have to establish the run with Najee Harris, the newly acquired free agent, Najee Harris. Because if you run the ball, you basically control the clock. You keep the ball away from Mahomes as much as possible. And if you do that, you got a chance, right? And Herbert's going to have to make some explosive plays down the field, right? And you cannot trade field goals for touchdowns against the Chiefs. When you have them down, you better strangle them. And that's exactly what happened to them in the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles made sure that they did not leave that back door open for any type of comeback, because that's what's happened historically with teams who have played against the Kansas City Chiefs. You give them that little glimmer of hope, they will find a way back in. And that's what you don't want. And this is a neutral site. So, the crowd should be kind of maybe 50-50. I don't know. I don't know how the Brazilians get down with the Chiefs and Chargers, but, it should be okay. But I'm more concerned about the weather conditions. But in the end, I like the Chiefs in a close one. I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this one. All right, let's take a look at the Las Vegas Raiders heading to the East Coast, to take on the New England Patriots. The Raiders are going to have to run the football. Simple as that. Pete Carroll makes his debut against his former NFL head coaching job that he had many years ago in the New England Patriots, but they have to run the ball with Ashton Genty. You drafted the kid. You got to see what he can do, right? The O-line is also going to have to help contribute in opening up some running lanes for Ashton Genty, and that way they can get some play action going, right? The one thing that they should be able to exploit is the young cornerbacks that the New England Patriots have. Christian Gonzalez, I don't know if he's playing or not. Quote me if I'm wrong. I don't know if he's playing. I know he had a season injury last year, so we'll have to wait and see. But their defense, also the Raiders are going to have to get after Drake May. Max Crosby, that's kind of a good weapon to have, right? The Tyree Wilson kid they drafted from Texas Tech, 2 years ago, seems to me he's a bust. So everything's going to have to rely on Max Crosby to get that pressure going for the Raiders. So that's what they're going to have to do. As far as the Patriots are concerned, establish the run game as well. You still got a young quarterback. You got some talent there on the outside with Stephon Diggs, who you added, who's also coming off a major knee injury as well. Drake May is going to have to play very efficiently. Doesn't have to go out there and necessarily win the game, but play efficient. Don't turn the ball over, right? But because you got some weapons there. But I feel like special teams is going to be a big one in this one. I like New England in that regard. I like them to win at home, just because it's just hard for those teams that come from the Pacific time zone to go to the Eastern time zone. It's just hard for them to win a lot of those games. So I do like the Patriots in a very close game. So I'm going to ride with them. All right, we got Pittsburgh heading to New York to take on the New York Jets. We got Justin Fields taking on his former team in the Pittsburgh Steelers. As far as the Steelers are concerned, clock control. Run the ball. You're going to hear me say run the ball a lot. Like running backs are a thing now. Like this day and age of not having a run game, you got to have one. Doesn't have to be great, but you got to have it because why? You have to have clock control, right? So the Steelers are going to have to come out there and run that football and stay efficient there. TJ Watt should exploit this very shaky offensive line for the New York Jets. So especially if they move him around a lot, he should be able to exploit that. And then also their offense, the Steelers offense is going to have to convert on third down. They were at 38% conversion rate last year. They're going to have to get those numbers up if they want to be considered a very top tier or at least a playoff bound team in a very tough division. As far as the Jets are concerned, use Justin Fields' legs. He is not a very proficient thrower, but man, can he run the football. He's going to have to at least account for 50 plus yards in their running game for them to be effective. And then also when you do pass, you got to quick game it. Quick slants, quick outs, hitches to Garrett Wilson, get things going a little bit, free him up a little bit and get it going. And of course, the defense is going to have to win the turnover battle, right? They're going to have to get out. They're going to have to get after it. The good thing going for them is that they're going to be facing Aaron Rodgers, who is as stagnant as a paper stationery on someone's desk. He is not moving anywhere in that pocket, so the Jets are going to have to take advantage of that. I like the Jets at home just because I feel like they might have a little bit more potency in their offense, so I'm going to take them at home. All right, Miami Dolphins taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Daniel Jones has been named the starter for the Colts. I think it's time to say it's officially over for Anthony Richardson, at least for the Colts. I think he'll play again because Daniel Jones is just garbage. He is hot garbage. So I think he'll get his shot again. But anyway, Daniel Jones going to have to protect the ball. He's been known to turn the ball over tremendously. He has legs. I don't know why he doesn't use them a little bit more often, but he's going to have to rely on that a little bit more this upcoming Sunday. And then they're going to have to lean on Jonathan Taylor a lot more. They're going to have to lean on him and do some ball control as well. And then on the defensive side of things, the Colts are going to have to contain Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and force everything underneath, right? You don't want this guy going over the top of you and celebrating in your end zone because he can do that. Okay. Same thing with Jalen Waddle. So they're going to have to be on the lookout for that. As far as the Dolphins are concerned, RPO game is going to be very, very, very key for them, neutralizing the Indianapolis pass rush. And they're going to have to make sure that they spy Daniel Jones on those key third downs or converting downs because, like I said before, he can run the football. It doesn't do a lot, but he can run the football. You got to get him off the field. And they're going to have to find a way to get Jalen Waddle back in the flow of things. I know he had a very rough season last year. He had a bunch of injuries and things of that nature. But if they can find Jalen Waddle to get in there, they should come away with a victory. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins on the road to take the win here. I'm not a big fan of the Dolphins, but I think they should win this game. All right, you got Arizona taking on the New Orleans Saints. Listen, Saints are projected to be one of the worst teams in the National Football League. So really what I'm saying to them is like, just give the ball to Alvin Kamara. Line him up, hand him the ball. Do what you can, right? I mean, I know they got Chris Olave, but Spencer Rattler is the starting quarterback. I don't really have that much faith in him. And the other guy that they drafted, Tyler Show, whatever his damn name is, who cares at the end of the day? This game, if the Saints want to be in this game, they're going to have to hang their hat on their defense. They're going to have to blitz the hell out of Kyler Murray, keep him from making those big plays and limit those big plays to like a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Trey McBride. And maybe you might have a chance in the end to maybe go down, maybe kick a field goal and win this game. From the Cardinals standpoint, you got to use Kyler Murray's mobility. You got to use his mobility, his playmaking ability as well to make plays down the field. And they got to play tempo too, right? You're going to have to play tempo, especially because you got a quarterback like Kyler Murray. You use that quick tempo. You keep the defense honest right there, not allowing them to substitute. And you kind of keep them on their heels. And you're going to have to use Trey McBride as much as possible, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. might be targeted a little bit more, or it might be vice versa. Maybe they got to use Marvin Harrison Jr., but they're going to have to get those go. One of those guys is going to have a monster game. I think this game is going to be close. I think it's going to be very close. But I'm going to take the Cardinals in this one on the road to win this game. All right, we got the Giants taking on the Washington Commanders in the NFC East division rivalry game. From a Commander standpoint, Daniels is just going to have to make sure he protects himself, right? Because the Giants have a formidable pass rush. They just drafted Abdul Carter from Penn State. You already know he's looking to hit somebody, right? And one thing I will say about Daniels, he will force a risky throw here and there. So under pressure, he's just got to make sure he protects himself and just protect the ball as well while doing so. And as far as offensive side as well, Terry McLaurin has got to be the focal point. He's got to be, right? We're going into the sophomore year with Jaden Daniels. We're going to have teams adjusted to him, kind of like how teams adjusted to CJ Stroud last year. Now, he had some injuries on his side of the ball there, but we'll have to wait and see. And then from the Commander standpoint, defensively, they're just going to have to just keep Russell Wilson at bay. He should be the starting quarterback. He's not the same Russell Wilson anymore, right? You pressure him, force him to pass. You might get a pick or two or turnover here and there, and he should be good to go. As far as the Giants are concerned, run the football. You have a pretty formidable running game in Tracy. Limit the turnovers again, and that pass rush is just going to have to get their hands on Jaden Daniels. Hit him, touch him up a little bit. Touch him up a couple times. All right, let them know that you're there. And they got the guys to do it. Between Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, and Abdul Carter, they got guys to do it. So this is probably one of the best defensive lines in the National Football League. And I think they'll keep them in this game because it's a divisional game. But in the end, I feel like the Commanders will win this game, pulling away at home. All right, we got the Carolina Panthers taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is just going to have to come out here and just quick read the defense and get the ball out quick. Because Carolina recently, they love to blitz. So it's going to create some matchups for his guys, especially because you got a Brian Thomas, you got a Travis Hunter that they may throw in there, right? So you're going to have to use the Carolina Panthers aggressiveness to get some one-on-one shots down the field with Brian Thomas, Diami Brown, maybe some Travis Hunter. Get some vertical shots, man. Win those one-on-one matchups. I can definitely see them doing that. As far as the defense is concerned, you guys can keep Bryce Young in the pocket. He's short. He's a smaller quarterback. It's hard for him to see in between or over those guys. So he's probably a little bit better moving the pocket versus keeping him in the pocket. So if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, you want to keep him as much in the pocket as possible. Because I will say this, I thought it was over for Bryce Young last year, but he came back second half of the season, got the starting job. He won it back again, and he looked pretty decently. So we'll see how he goes. As far as the Panthers are concerned, you got to keep Bryce Young upright. Can't let him get hit. Can't let him get touched up too much. They're going to have to hand the ball off to Chuba Hubbard a lot and slow down the game. Slow down the football game. Limit possessions to Jacksonville and make sure that you limit explosive plays from the Jacksonville Jaguars because they have explosive play capability. So you want to make sure you limit that as well. But in the end, I like the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the game at home against the Carolina Panthers. All right, we got the Bengals taking on the Cleveland Browns in an AFC North matchup here. For the Bengals, it's pretty simple, man. Get Jamar Chase and T. Higgins the ball fast and in a hurry. It's that simple. It's really that simple. Protect Burrow from Myles Garrett. Make sure you chip this guy. There should be somebody coming out the backfield or a tight end chipping him on his way out before you let anybody go down the field because you do not want Joe Burrow to be hurt early in the season. Last couple of years, he's had a couple of injuries to begin the season. They got off to a slow start, but I think this is maybe the time they turn things around and get that first win early in the season. So I like that as well for them. As far as the Browns are concerned, run the football, grind out the clock, keep the ball away from Joe Burrow and the rest of the talented receiving core that you have in Cincinnati. And as far as defense is concerned, you're going to have to disguise a lot of things, man. You're going to have to mix up your blitzes, disguise your coverages. You got to make it very difficult pre-snap for Joe Burrow to make any decisions, because if he's locked in, if he's keyed in on what you're doing, and people may not like this, what I'm about to say. I think Joe Burrow, is not the best quarterback in the National Football League, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. When he's healthy and he's got everything going, he's really good. He's really good. So you're going to have to mix it up on him. But in the end, I like the Bengals to win this game against the Browns on the road and get off on the positive side of things here in 2025. All right, we got Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. It's pretty simple. It's the Michael Penix team now. Kirk Cousins will be in the background there, but really it's Bijan Robinson's team. This guy needs to touch the ball 20 plus times, whether it's handing him the ball, throwing him the football. He's got to be a crucial part of this offense. Why? Because you want to get play action going. If you can get play action going, you take those big shots down the field with Pitts and Drake London. So that's one thing you want to consider as well. And when you run the ball too, you keep Baker Mayfield off the field. And Baker Mayfield has had a really good season last year with Tampa Bay. He's looking to build on top of that as well. And so therefore you want to make sure that you force him into long down and distances, because he will mark you up. If it's third and short, third and 3, third and 4, he is a playmaker. And I think he's proved a lot of people wrong. So Falcons defense is just going to have to get off the field on third downs for sure. For the Bucs, get Evans going, stretch the defense, go vertical with him often, right? Really put pressure on that Falcons defense. Vita Vea, clog up those rushing lanes for Bijan Robinson, right? Clog them up. And then special teams are going to come in big, because these two teams really play each other close a lot. But in the end, I like the Falcons to edge out the Bucs just a little bit, maybe by a field goal there, but I like the Falcons in that one. All right, we got Tennessee taking on the Denver Broncos. Well, we'll see. This is the debut of Cam Ward. He's got a tough job going into Denver. Denver is a lot of people's dark horse to maybe come out of the AFC, right? Definitely people expect him to make the playoffs. Bo Nix had a pretty solid rookie season. But I will say this: run game plus altitude equals advantage for the Denver Broncos. You're playing at home, you got that altitude, you keep running the football, you're tiring these guys out, making sure that you keep Cam Ward off the field. Again, that's the name of the game. Keep the other guys off the field. And then defensively, they're going to have to apply pressure to Cam Ward, right? This is his first start in the National Football League. We'll see how well he handles the pressure. And to be fair, Denver's got a really good team. Nick Bonito heading up leading that defense there. You still got Patrick Surtain Jr. Back there lurking in the secondary. This is a very formidable defense, a very formidable team looking to build upon what they did last season in 2024, 2025 season. So, and then Bo Nix is just going to continue to just move the chains. Third downs, convert them, right? I know it sounds so cliche, but it's the thing. Like, this is just what they need to do. As far as the Titans are concerned, you're going to have to hit a couple of deep plays. You're going to have to get Calvin Ridley going, Tyler Lockett, Van Jefferson, 2 or 3 deep shots down the field to loosen up that defense a little bit. Maybe have them drop covers. Maybe you could run the ball just a little bit with Tony Pollard. And their defense is just going to have to slow up the run game as well, because like I said before, the run game and altitude, that's going to favor Denver, right? So, but in the end, I like the Broncos to win this game, pulling away against the Titans to start the season to 1-0. All right, in the NFC West matchup, we got San Francisco 49ers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Listen, 49ers, a lot of turnover, a couple injuries still plaguing this team, but CMC is back. He should be able to create mismatches as long as he's healthy. So you got that. You still got George Kittle. Ricky Pearsall might be a guy that may move to the front now with Brandon Ayuk injured. No more Deebo Samuel. So their wide receiver room is looking for someone to take the reins of that and become that guy. Maybe Ricky Pearsall, maybe somebody else. Who knows, right? As far as the Seahawks are concerned, Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to have to dominate those one-on-ones that he gets, because he's going to get them. Robert Saleh loves to blitz. He loves to apply pressure. So that should create some opportunities there for Sam Darnold and Smith and Jigba to get something down the field. No more DK Metcalf. So we'll have to wait and see. And then at the end of the day, the Seahawks got to just go back to running the football. You got Kenneth Walker Jr. and you got Zach Sharpe. You got 2 good, really solid backs. You should be able to run a defense. Listen, this is not the same San Francisco 49er team. I think they're still good, but they're not the same. They're still not the same defensively, I don't think. I think they lost a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball. But this should be a good game. But however, though, I like the 49ers to win this game overall. I still think they're the better team. All right, we got Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love must stay efficient against this Lions team, because you already know, and I know they lost 2 coaches in Aaron Glenn and what's the other guy? Ben Johnson. But this team still is a force to be reckoned with. Jordan Love's going to have to stay very, very efficient, at least complete 60 to 65% of his throws to keep the chains moving for there. And then the defense is going to have to win against a very strong offensive line for the Detroit Lions. And as well, Brandon Jacobs is going to have to, not Brandon Jacobs, Josh Jacobs is going to have to be utilized a little bit more because it's like every week with the Packers, at least last year, it was like there was never like one consistent wide receiver, whether it was a tight end or a wide receiver. There was really not one guy that you were like, okay, he is the guy. Because every week it would rotate. 1 week is Tyler Kraft. 1 week is Romeo Doubs. It's like they just had different guys every week. they're gonna have to find a true number one, I would say. And then maybe if you get Micah Parsons on the defense, that'll help you out as far as the edge rushing is concerned, because you want to get to Jared Goff. He's not the most mobile quarterback. That might play a role. But those are some keys to victory for them. As far as the Lions are concerned, explosive plays. Feed Gibbs, Jahmyr Gibbs. Give the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are your big playmakers. Jameson Williams. Those are the guys you want to get the ball to. And their O-line is going to have to hold up against Rashawn Gary and maybe Micah Parsons. So that's going to be good. And then they have to finish in the red zone. They cannot afford to get down there and kick field goals. You got to put the ball across the line to get those touchdowns, especially because this is a good team. This is a very good matchup. Probably one of the better matchups all day, I would say. Two playoff teams, two Super Bowl contending type teams, right? So we'll have to wait and see. But in the end, I like the Lions to come out on top and win this game on the road in Green Bay, mind you. All right, we got Houston Texans taking on the LA Rams. LA Rams, a dark horse for a lot of teams, for a lot of people, even myself. I think they have the general consensus or the makeup to be a very strong team to maybe get to a Super Bowl. As far as this game is concerned, they're going to have to utilize Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. Get that play action going with Kyron Williams. Keep Stroud under pressure with that very young defensive line led by Curse. I think his name is Curse. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Curse. But either way, get after him. And they're going to have to use tempo. They're going to have to use tempo because this is still a very young defense as well for the Texans. But the Rams are very good. I like Sean McVay. I think he's a very good coach, and he's had all couple months to prepare for this game. So I think they'll be ready to roll. As far as the Texans are concerned, Stroud has to stay accurate. A couple times last year, there were some games that just got away from him because he just wasn't accurate enough. Simple as that. And they're going to have to get Nico Collins going early and often. No Joe Mixon. He's out until week 4 or 5, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So they're going to have to get to him early and often. And they're going to have to disguise their defenses against Matthew Stafford. Now, I know Matthew Stafford has been dealing with some back issues, so they're going to have to take advantage of that. Maybe it's some lingering issues there. Get after him, put him on the ground, maybe not necessarily get the sack, but make sure he knows that people are at his feet and they're coming. Get Will Anderson to get on him, and then that might change their chances a little bit more in the end. However, though, I like the Rams to win this game. I think this is a Super Bowl bound team. As long as they can stay healthy, I like the Rams in this one on the road. All right, Sunday Night Football, we got the Baltimore Ravens heading to Orchard Park to take on the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, listen, they're consistently right there at the top of the AFC. They just can't get over the hump. Don't know what it is. But as far as this game is concerned, Allen's just going to have to take over. He is the guy on offense. And then, hand the ball off to Cook a little bit, James Cook. But Allen's going to have to make all the plays. He's just going to have to limit his reckless play. He has a tendency of maybe doing a little bit too much in some situations. I get it. He's trying to make a play here or there. But you can't do certain things and be reckless with the football. And even his health at the end of the day. As far as the defense is concerned for the Buffalo Bills, you're going to have to keep Lamar Jackson inside the pocket. Easier said than done. I know that's not very easy to do, but they're going to have to do that. Now, they were able to figure that out a little bit in the playoff game last year. But these two teams met up, I believe, Sunday night last year, and the Ravens won that game on the road. Actually, they actually won decisively, but so they know each other very well. This is going to be a very close game. However, though, I like the Buffalo Bills to win this game at home in front of their peers. The reigning MVP will get the win over the two-time MVP in Lamar Jackson. Now, as far as, I forgot to say the keys to victory for the Ravens. The ground game is going to have to be potent as usual, right? Between Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, they're going to have to at least get 150 yards plus to win this game, which they can easily do that for sure. Zay Flowers is going to have to hit a couple big plays in order to do so, and their defense is going to have to force a couple turnovers, which they did in the matchup that they had last year on Sunday night at home against the Buffalo Bills. But I think in the end, it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a field goal. I like the Buffalo Bills to win this game before. And last but not least, the Monday Night Football game, Minnesota Vikings taking on the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams has a lot of questions he needs to answer, and it starts Monday night. Listen, you got DJ Moore, you got Romeo Aduns, you got a decent running back committee there. You got to get it done, man. You got to get it done. Their defense is going to have to be the bell cow, though. However, though, because Minnesota has a rookie quarterback that they're going to be starting in J.J. McCarthy. And as far as the Vikings are concerned, they're going to have to protect him. Simple. It's that simple. He's going to be a young quarterback versus a very experienced defensive team in the Chicago Bears. They're going to be ready for him. But J.J. McCarthy's going to have to hit Justin Jefferson early and often, and they're going to have to run the football as well, too. So when you have young quarterbacks, you got to run the football. You got to run the football. In the end, though, I like the Bears to upset the Vikings in the sense. I wouldn't say it's an upset, but I like the Bears at home on Monday Night Football to get the win and start their season 1-0. So, all right. There you have it. Just under an hour, man. We went through all of the games for Week 1 in National Football League. That's my take on it. So that's all I got for this week, man. Make sure you guys hit me up next week. I don't know. I might do the show on Tuesday. Not sure yet. It'll always be before Thursday for sure. So, but when I get that more consistently, you guys will know. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to the YouTube channel right there. You guys see down below, Clutch Sports Talk Podcast, as well as on the Grid Network. Hit me up on my Instagram and TikTok as well, man. I'm trying to bump my numbers up there, man. So I appreciate all the support. But other than that, that is all I've got this evening. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be on the lookout again for some more NFL matchups starting next week as we dive into Week 2. Of the National Football League. So that's all I got. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Until next time, this is your boy Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk. Never settle till the work is done. We'll see you guys later. Peace.